Yo, what's up legends, welcome back to another video on the channel. We're doing something a little bit different this week. We're going to go for another YouTube demo drop. Now, I've done a few of these in the past. So much fun. I love seeing what you guys are up to. Obviously, I'm checking out my Patreon's music pretty much every day. But the quality, I think, over the past year has gone crazy. Everybody's really finding their own sound and finding their own place within the genre of EDM, of big room, of whatever. So it's really cool, the kind of quality that's coming out, and I want to showcase that. I also want to roast some tracks. So we're going to jump into the first one by Jake Ryan. If you want feedback like this from me, all you need to do is join the Patreon family. Almost 200 strong. It's been an amazing ride with you guys. Like, I see you guys as my family, my community. You get to hang in the Discord. It's just a lot of fun, so get involved. Link will be in the description as always. Let's check out ID 35. So he's made a lot of music recently. This is the 35th one. We'll check this one by Jake Ryan. Good vibe. Okay, so first off, I know what everybody's thinking is this rave room. This is a good way to use samples, by the way. This, if you don't know, the last sample pack I released for the Patreon squad was the rave room sample pack, which is great for big room techno and stuff. My track Rave Room on Revealed Recordings. He's used the samples really well here. I thought when I first heard this, because we've got the same build up, the same rises and the same kick, I thought, oh, it's just gonna sound too much like it. However, it sounds darker, more techy. My track feels a little bit more like on the future rave side. I know he's used the future rave side in the track later on, but this first part sounds really, really good. I love the simplicity of this. Obviously, I'm going to be biased because it sounds a little bit like Rave Room. For labels, I think you might just be okay. If you use too many sounds from a certain track, for example, it can sound a little bit too similar, and labels will be like, we've heard this before. But if you use the sounds wisely, like I only use a little, like one or two sounds from each sample pack, for example, right? I don't want to do all sounds from the same pack because it's likely there's a construction kit in there and I've just remade a drop, right? Which everyone will be able to do. So I love the kick. I think the kick really sits well in this track, but I'm obviously going to say that. The melody I like. I love that. That little drill note is really, really cool. Energy's really good, man. I like this whole track. I think the second drop has a weak build-up. I want more tension here. Like, for example, if you check my track, Rave Room, where I just let it go dead, and then the synth goes bum, bum, bum. That works so well live. And my music has changed a lot since I started playing shows, right? When I was just making music in my bedroom, it was just the same structure all the time. Now that I play shows, my structure is always different. If you watch my Instagram stories, I will do like da 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 da, and then go into a techno drop just out of nowhere, because that stuff really works live, and I like to catch them out off guard a little bit, but it has to be done right. Okay, so as you can see in Rave Room, what I do is bump, 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 bump. So it teases the melody. The crowd are like, oh, okay, what's this? And then the kick comes in, and it's just a crazy drop, right? So in this one, it's kind of disappointing that there's no tension there. As you can see, you've left the bass and the lead in there in the pre-drop. So what happens there, there's just no tension. The drop doesn't hit as hard because you've got all the synths still there. You know, the only thing that changes is the kick. So I would definitely leave a little gap there in the pre-drop. Have a cool fill. You don't need a cheesy everybody effing jump vocal, of course. This is a cool style of EDM. This is not the cheesy style. So I think it's a solid idea. Now here you've got the bass line changes. Boom, boom. It changes in tone, in note. So you will have to change my Rave Room kick so that the sub also follows that, because it sounds like the sub is just going the same D sharp note or D, and you've got like a bass note on top which changes. Also the melody has a bottom layer which changes in key, so you're gonna have to either keep them all in the same key so it sits nice with the lead, with the kick, sorry, or you change the kick to match it. So it's a really good start. I'm really impressed with this one. This will bang live. Please, if you work on it some more, Jake, please send it to me, bro. I love the way you use the samples really well. Okay, here we go. Jara Francis. Now, he said he didn't know if he was going to have a demo ready, but he's managed to get a full track by the looks of it. So let's check this one out.
Dance with that groove, all you got to do is move. Dance with that groove, all you got to do is move.
Sick.
Dance with that groove, all you got to do is move. Dance with that groove. Dance with
This is
that
sick.
groove, all you got to do is move. Dance with that groove, all you got to do is move. Dance with that groove, all you got to do is move.
Nice. Okay, this one is really interesting, man. The vocal, as always, I did a session with Gerard a few days ago, and I said, like, bro, wherever you find, he finds the best vocals, man. Like from sample packs, this vocal is sick. It creates that whole theme of the track. I love the breaks. The breaks are probably the best thing you've ever made, to be honest. The drops, I know you put them together probably pretty quick. The idea works. I think it's just got to hit a little bit more powerfully. So the kick itself's really nice, right? It's not techno, it's really sharp EDM, which if you're trying to make big room techno, sometimes it's cool to use a big room kind of punch kick, because that makes it a little bit more playable for the EDM guys, right? If it's got a techno kick, it really reduces the amount of DJs that are going to play it, right? So I think this works. The bass line is something that I would probably look to. You could maybe do a gated techno kick. Our boy Ozkun does some really good FL tutorials on how to do that. I think he'll be able to take the same kind of processing that he does and apply it in Logic, for example. But this bass line can work as drop one, right? I would like to hear the vocal back in here. Maybe after 15 seconds of the drop, bring that vocal back on top, you know, Maddox style. Drop two. The synth can work, right? I think it just needs a little bit more processing. It needs to be a lot more powerful. Sounds like a little bit too much distortion on it. And I don't think you need that Hardwell Hoover in there straight away. I think that can be something that gets introduced later. But the whole theme of this track, you could do some crazy stuff in the breakdown too, like vroom, 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 boom, boom, boom. Another DJ tool that since I started playing shows, I started looking more into these kind of things. Like in the breakdown, if you got that do 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 crowd really getting into it, check Joy Energizer by Sander Van Doorn. That's a really, really cool DJ tool to play. So I think this one is really, really sick. Like of the tracks that I've heard from Gerard, this is one of his best. I think keep working on this, bro. I would focus on lead processing and bassline. See if you can find a cooler bassline. Look for a tech trance bassline, something like just a loop, right, which you can process yourself. Because the energy in this is really, really good, and it has a lot of potential. And I hate that you find such good vocals. Let's move on to Andrew Galaxy, which I'm going to say this track is horrible just purely because he sent me a Google Drive link. I am allergic to Google Drive. Please only send me Dropbox or SoundCloud. All these guys got the memo. Andrew Galaxy didn't. But we'll check it out. This is I Am Acid. See, I can't even see where to like fast forward, you know, it's horrible.
We call this acid. We call this acid. We call this acid.
Nice. Really dope synth. Cool. There's the acid. Great build up. Really interesting again. I would say also, Andrew Galaxy, this is the best song you've ever sent me as well. And isn't it crazy that the first three songs are coincidentally big room techno vibe since Hardwell came by? It's nice to see everyone making this kind of music, and it's also nice to hear the samples being used so well. The signature sound samplers, I hear some from Techno on My Mind. Great use of them. Again, it doesn't sound like Techno on My Mind, but you've used it in a really cool way. So I take back what I said before. This is a really good track. Biggest issue for me with the mix is that kick. Now, the kick can work, right? I'm not saying the kick doesn't work. It can work. You can use this kick. However, lead needs to come down, drums need to come down, everything needs to be brought down to the volume of that kick. Right now, the lead is this loud, drums are this loud, kick is down here, right? The kick is the focal point of a dance track for the power. You know, at a festival, you hear the kick, right? That's what people dance to, the kick drum, right? That's the thing that dictates the rhythm. So, you're either going to have to replace this with a heavier kick, because the lead is just so much louder than the kick, it kind of ruins the impact of the drop. Great fills though, really cool. I love all this effects. It's really, really nice, man. That synth is crazy. Love it. So in this situation, yeah, I would want to bring the sub bass up and try a different kick with more volume, more body. Try top kick in there as well. Or you bring the lead down and you bring all the other stuff down in the track to match this kick. So I can't analyze the waveform. The waveform might be like really, like, I would say small. If it's all small, then you can't really see any dynamics. You're going to need a bigger kick, right? So overall, this is sick. I think this synth has a little bit too much sidechain on it. You can bring the sidechain down a bit. I would also roll off a little bit the highs. I think you've pushed the highs a little bit too much. With this synth, if you listen to Maddox and, you know, Will Sparks and stuff, their leads won't be as like high and piercing as this, for example. A lot of techno tracks really don't push the highs crazy amounts like Big Room does, right? So I would just use a few reference tracks for this, but the idea in this one, I'm really, really impressed. The acid sound could be better if I was being picky, but the overall theme and everything, it feels a little bit too long maybe, I think. Like, is there 4 drops in this one? It'd be better if I could just see it. But anyway, this is really strong, man. Really, really impressed again. Great work, brother. Next, we have Shift and Palm with From the Back. Really nice.
You are skin to skin, I bet you are feeling just the way I do. Vibing on the dance floor, show me your intention. I like it when you follow through. I want you to stay right here.
Again, you're probably going to laugh and think I'm just making this up, but this is the best song Shift and Palm have also ever sent me. You can tell how long it's been since doing a demo drop, because the quality of tracks now, go and listen to the other demo drops, is just crazy. It's so nice to see everybody in the community absolutely smashing it right now. I love this. Now, this melody reminds me of something. Please, can someone tell me? Oh, it's W&W Rave After Rave. I think it might be a little bit too similar. Let's start for the first drop. I like this vocal, man. It's different. Bit Euro dancey with it being pitched up. I like the vibe in that. It's not the cheesy EDM stuff. Now, with this drop, with empty first drops, I think everybody tries a little bit too hard. I used to do this as well. Have fills everywhere, but sometimes you just have to let the simplicity of the drop do its thing. For example, in the UK, I've noticed if you play kick and bass, people will just go crazy. Like if it's really like simple kick and bass, right? Not with sounds all the time. So I think if you just left this a little bit more stripped back, like in hardstyle, right? Reverse bass, if it's a reverse bass first drop, it's bum 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 bum. Then they'll do like a little screech fill, right? But it's not like fills all the time and synths everywhere. So you can have the da-da-da, let it really reverb tail, massive reverb tail there. Then you can have that synth, but this one in the start I don't think's needed. I don't think you need that, to be honest. Then here you can bring more synths in, right? You can develop the track by adding some extra sounds there, like you've done. I think that works.
How can I forget want you.
Vocal wise, yeah, it's a sample pack vocal, which I think brings the overall quality of the track down a bit in a label's eyes, right? In a label's eyes, I think they would think that. Again, it also doesn't really fit with the theme. I prefer this vocal, to be honest. I would use that, you know, that Eurodance pitchy vocal instead of this. Just feels dropped on, to be honest.
Right here.
With a track like this, let's be honest, it's not for Spotify, so I don't think you need to go all out with a full a cappella in. This is cool. I think if you're going to use a small pluck sound like this, we need to add more overdrive on it. Make it feel a little wider. Oxford inflator as well. Have some extra delays and some reverb. Really make it sound big in the mix. Not sure about this kick. Just feels very flat. I can't really hear the sub bass either. Second drop. Great reverb though. You've really mastered the reverb, I think. I've heard a lot of tracks from these guys as well, and I think the reverbs sound really, really big. Kick's really nice as well, and the bass. It's just the melody. I would try and modify it a little bit more, just so it sounds a little bit different to W&W's track. But again, like all these tracks so far, will get signed somewhere. I'm going to be keeping an eye on them for Rave Room as well. Now we have Prince Andy G, who is absolutely smashing it right now, releasing a lot on club work, so I expect this one's also going to be very good.
Why am I here?
Why am I here? It's a bit deep.
Do I even bring anything?
Did I even bring anything?
Why do people even speak to me?
This is Andy's voice, 100%.
Am I just some extra?
I can hear the Australian accent, mate.
I must be here for a reason. Maybe this is the future. Maybe I am the future.
Bit big-headed there, brother.
And this is... And this is where my journey begins.
Nice. Mini Hardwell.
This is where my journey begins.
This is weird, man. It's really like, you will not find any other track like this. That's what I think is so good about people finding their own sound. Like, nobody can say this sounds like this track. If a label doesn't sign it, it's just not for them. They can't say this just sounds like something else, right? This is really unique. I think the vocal is, I think the actual lyrics you've written are really good. I'll probably just get a big geezer on Fiverr, guys who do the In a World. These guys, I think that would probably, just a deeper voice, right? Recorded on a better mic, for example. But I think it's cool that you're using your own vocal, of course. If you are going to use your own vocal, I think it just needs to be brought up in the mix, more high end. Try a CLA vocals on, or I don't know what vocal VSTs people use mostly nowadays. To be honest, I just use Kashmir's one, but I know there's a lot of really good vocal processing VSTs out there, so I'd be trying to load up on as much of that as possible if your mic isn't crazy good, just because it's hard to hear at times.
Just some extra.
For example, there you've got the highs from that string, so I would like it to be brought up and maybe duck some high end from the string when the vocal plays, right? The build up, really cool, sick energy as always.
This is where my journey begins.
Sounds like a Hardwell track in the making. This is really nice. Kick and bass perfect as always. Really deep and it really slams. The lead can definitely work. I just think it's very high focus. I think we need something in the middle there, just a synth following the same pattern, just to kind of bridge that gap, because you've got sick low end and you've got really cool high lead there, but we're missing some like high mids. So I would just try and have something, even like a rolling synth, which is just mids, so you get rid of all the lows, all the highs, and just focus on the mids there. Would also help it be a bit more groovy as well. I think that you need a sharper hi-hat maybe. Make it really short, just so it really pushes through the mix, because these ones aren't pushing as much. Like, who am I to tell you how to make techno when you've been making this for a long time? So this is really fucking good, mate. I see another club work release on the horizon. Next we have Smoggy89, who used Dropbox, which I admire.
What happens when light breaks down?
Cool.
What happens when light breaks down? When there is systemic contradiction? What happens when light breaks down? What happens when light breaks down? Welcome home. When there is system, it is God's love. Puts his arms around you. It is God's love. Down. It is God's love.
Nice energy, man. So with this one, again, another really creative song. For me, I would say this pre-drop isn't needed. This kick, I would just leave it. And then the drop comes in. You want to make with these kind of tracks, you want the drop to hit with as much power as possible. So sometimes leaving a little bit of tension. Like the track I just finished this morning, I left like 4 bars of emptiness before the drop comes in. I just find that it just really interacts with the crowd a lot more. Of course, these tracks are built for clubs and festivals, right? These aren't Spotify tracks. So we really need to have to focus when producing these songs on how the crowd are going to react. So I would maybe get rid of that kick, but the drop, bass and kick don't really seem that balanced, right? I would be bringing the kick louder, I think you're missing a top kick, actually, the more I listen to it. The kick's kind of hitting like this, but you just need a sharp top kick to really punch through the mix, because it's got a decent body, but it's really not pushing through mix with the high end in the kick. Synth's really cool, the rave generator lead, I really, really like it, man. I'll probably be automating the reverb, so it goes da 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 da. So I'll automate that in, so it provides a little bit more rhythm, because this is a very, very groovy song. Hi-hats need to be louder here, I think. Love those rides. The big techno rides are cool, man. I'll probably have them at the start of drop 2. I like the bass line as well. That bass line is really, really unique. Really, really cool.
Welcome
I don't know if it's in the right key. I want someone in the comments section to tell me if I'm going crazy, but I feel like it's the bass. That bass layer might be not in the right key, or is it the lead? This vocal's really, really nice. It's hard to get one that isn't cringe.
What happens when light breaks down? When there is systemic contradiction? What happens when light breaks down?
I love it. And this build-up is sick. This build-up sounds so professional. You've killed it with the build-up. We just need a little bit more tension there, like I said in the previous demo, just for that drop to come in. But this one is really, really cool. I love the use of the rave generator lead as well. Very underrated, that plugin. So, I just realized, just ignore this. I'm going to change the name now. Now we have Beat Wrecker. What a great name. Heard a lot of this guy's music as well. This one is specifically F sharp 130 V6M. Okay, nice. The big problem for me here is the bass line is just way too pushed. You can tell by the waveform as well, it's very blocky. I think the master's causing a few issues here, but I think you probably will need to mix the bass a little bit better as well. I don't think it's just the master causing this, but the master's probably not helping. I think it's too slammed. I think if you check with the reference track, you don't have to use Getter and Morton, right? Because that's, you know, really, really top of the top. You can take someone else who's big in the future wave sound and just analyze against them, because the bass line is just way too muddy here. It's causing a lot of problems for your lead. Yeah, so it's just a little bit too muddy. I would have to like see what kind of stuff you've used on the bass. I think it's the sub bass causing the problem, or maybe you've got two things which have sub bass in them, like maybe you've got an 808 which has sub bass and also a bass layer which also has a bit of sub bass in it. We don't want two sub basses. Pick one that has the best sub bass and then, you know, mix the other layers around that. But the energy's good. I think the lead's pretty nice as well. It's crispy, I like it. Yeah, you can hear it's really struggling against the sub bass there. Breakdown's nice. You've used a vocal I haven't heard before, so well done. This part needs a little bit more energy. More delay, I would say, on these leads, because you've got a decent reverb. I'll try a bit of a delay. And maybe some claps. Just crowd claps would be good. You don't need necessarily really sharp ones, just crowd claps. Also a bit of crowd noise will always work. Be cool to have the vocal in the pre-drop. But yeah, the sound design you've used is really good. We just need to focus on the sub bass and get that bass mix right. But using a reference track will really help. You'll be able to see like, oh, mine's got way too much bass. You know what, compared to other guys. And it's just going to help you out a lot. If you're just there in the studio by yourself, you're only going against what you know, right? You need to see what other people produce. The labels you want to release on, listen to them releases as well. So you'll understand like how much bass should be there and stuff. So move on to Manku. I think it's Manku. This is called New Century. Big kick. Nice to hear a big room song, big room influence song, which we haven't had. We've had a lot of techno influence stuff. This one I've heard quite a few times. I've been giving feedback to Manku on this one for quite a while. I think maybe a month or something. It's sounding really cool. I think the best part of this track is this. Soulful, melody's really nice as well. The drop. I'll be using that break lead in the drop somewhere just as a fill. Because it's so thick and so nice. It would just work so well. Kick. I'm not sure this kick is working really. The more I listen to it. It's very... Is it hard trance? It's just very thumpy. I think for the labels you probably want to release this on. They'll probably be looking for a more clean kick. The reverse bass is cool though. It's nice to hear Big Room a little bit different. But when you use a small kick, you're going to have to increase the sub bass because the sub bass is barely distinguishable now. So you're going to need to boost it up a little bit with a boost, an EQ boost. 2 or 3 dB, I would say. See how much you can push before you start to get that distortion. Then you need to dial it down. Breakdown, I think the vocal's a little bit cheesy, to be honest. So I would look to find something different to build the theme of the track around. But the pluck sounds nice. I would layer the Epic pluck, the Sandro Silva Epic pluck underneath it because it has a lot more body than the Nexus lead that you've used. Overall, I think it's a solid production. Another really talented producer. We move on. Go to... Oh, shall I click this? This is a demo track, so if you have any tips, let me know. I will let you know. So this is Wit Beats with Get Low. Okay, so judging by this, you're maybe more new to production than the other guys. So what I would do is focus on the drop, right? Breakdowns are... When you're producing, when you're starting to production, the breakdowns aren't as relevant with this style of music, right? You will not get signed for a breakdown. You will get signed for a drop, right? So I would be focusing on drops for the next few weeks, few months. The drop itself, I like the kick. It's kind of old school. The problem we have is the lead, right? So the lead, it feels like it's too stereo, but also deep in the mix. Like I used to use this plugin called Dimension Expander, right? By Xfer. And you could push stuff like really deep in the mix. It sounds like it's been pushed wide and also deep. If you listen to tracks, the leads are very present. So if you've used stereo imaging, don't be using... If you're going to use S1 Imager, for example, don't be using more than 1.25. So I would say 25% stereo. Try not to go more than that, because the wider your lead sounds, the more lost it's going to be. If I listen on my phone, the leads are just going to be barely able to hear, right? So that'll resonate in a club as well, and it's just not going to sound too good on the devices that you need it to. So leads are where I would focus. You have got a good sound though. The sound design in this is really nice. It's like Afrojack kind of style. We need to check the master. It sounds maybe like there's too much limiting going on. Like you've opened FL and left the limiter on, for example. I would just double check that. I think the sick individuals' vocals sound really well in the break. That drum is sick. Real like old school. I remember when I used to love this kind of Dutch sound. That's really nice. So volume wise, you haven't got many issues. You haven't got things that are too loud. It's just that the leads are lost. Again, I would use a reference track for that. But it's good to hear a different kind of level of producer as well. It's not going to take you too long to get on the level of these other guys, because you've got my help now, because you're going to focus on certain things. Just focus on drops for a few weeks or months and you will see a big difference. Next we have Afrojack and Bro Hug featuring Titus, Let It Rip, Jack Mence remix.
Pull up in this motherfucker with the entourage, okay, wait. Wrists on Haagen-Dazs, if you ain't with us, then you end up on the chopping block, okay, wait. She'll go shot for shot, I know that ass gon' drop like a sake bomb, okay, wait. Light bright chakra, and I be hanging on the wall like a Basquiat, okay. You got issues, I got mine. I black out to feel alive. Back up off me, bitch, I'm fried. Bust some shots off, let them fly. She start flex up on my bitch. I can't help the way I trip. Take a little bankroll. Say she let me hit it on tape though. And I got strippers on payroll. Venmo, PayPal, peso. Stacking them bricks. Out in the field, I'm the captain and shit. And it's lit. Whole click here, might let it rip.
Okay, this is cool, right? I like the way the vocal sits in there. The vocal's just really cool from the original. I don't know how much you've used from the original, but it seems to work in there. So, you know, hats off. Now the drop. I like that you've kind of staggered the synth a little bit, so it's like so you've moved it along a little bit, give it a little bit of like natural swing. I think it works, to be honest, but you're gonna need a bigger clap, because we need the clap to be driving the rhythm here. Boom, boom, boom. So I would be getting a bigger clap. It's like a baby clapping. We need like the world's strongest man clap in there, just to drive the rhythm. Hi-hats are super soft as well. What I would do if I was you, I'd go and splice and look for tech house sounds. You'll get some really cool loops you can add in there as well. I'm not sure you need that thing in the background. Is it like a... I don't think you need that straight away. You want this drop to be quite like stripped back again. This I don't understand. If you're going to do a build up and then go into another drop, it needs to be different. It feels like it's just the same drop. Have like a big white noise or techno rides just to take the energy up crazy amounts. Like in the last drop, you've got the energy higher, so maybe do that in this one too, and then think of something different for the final drop. But production-wise, like that mix is great. The kick and bass, I mean, the claps are a bit quiet as we said, but the kick is really nice. You can tell you're pretty advanced production-wise. Really impressed with this production-wise. We just need to focus on the basics, which is just get a thicker clap. As I said, Splice is so good for this. If you're using one from Kashmir, take it out. What you want to do is look for Noizu. Noizu has really, really good drums for tech house and stuff. So you want to get those really highly processed sounds, and also maybe stick a little bit of processing on the top of that. Use Transient Master to get more transient, more punch from the clap and drums. That's what I would recommend. Great work again. We have Skywalker available on all major platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, and Deezer. So go check it out now. This is Let It Drop.
Let it drop.
Okay, this is interesting. Is this still the intro, or is this a drop? Because it's weird, right? If it's an intro, that reverse bass needs to come in more. You've got that needs to come in more. Or if this is a drop, we need a sweep, some build-up snares. Just we need to let people know it's a drop. Also, it needs to start more stripped back. Like having all these drums on, it just makes it sound like an intro, which doesn't feel like an intro, if that makes sense. It's a little bit confusing right now. Love this bass sound. Crispy. Bit confusing this break, to be honest. Seems like there's so much my brain wants to focus on right now. It's crazy. It's driving me insane. I know this track's released, so everyone go and check it out and stream it. But for future, I would say less is more. I think that's the recurrent theme here among these demos. Like less is more. Like I don't think you need that in there straight away. Like we're giving everything in the drop, and that sounds like it could be good, right? Give all the energy as soon as it drops, but it's not, because these things don't translate live as much. Like you want to have a heavy drop, but you're introducing drums to dictate the way people move. Like you want people to groove, you don't want people to like rave to it, right? I just think we need to strip it down a little bit in the drop. I'll probably say that another 10 times before we end this video. But sound design, impressed with your sound design. It's really crispy sounds. For this, I would just have this kind of thing. That really gets the crowd going. Always. Drop. Again, I would take that. I would take it out because it's just... it's killing the vibe a little bit. You want it to hit harder. Makes it more groovy and less powerful. I don't have ideas and time for start the song. And for the break after drops, I think you could help me. Okay, Nemjo. This is by Manya. This is Description. Great song name. Cool. Okay, the first part is amazing. Second part is not great. This is good. That loop. Keep it going like this. Don't be changing the tone of it. Because you're hitting notes in the scale which just... notes which aren't in the scale, sorry. So it's sounding extremely out of tune and out of key. Keep this... Make that the theme of your track, this pluck loop. This is really nice. Reminds me of old school Hardwell, you know. Keep that, man. You can use that in the beginning here. But doing this like oh, it's just, it sounds like scratching your fingernails against a chalkboard, for example. You've done so well in the first part. Just use what you've done and paste it over. I think it's really, really nice, this. Kick's nice, bass is nice. But it's just, you don't need to do this. I think you use what you've done here. Listen to old Hardwell tracks for inspiration. Because it's crazy, you've got great hats. Like, everything drum-wise is really nice. It's just that synth is playing like the wrong melody. But honestly, great work for this first part. I was really, really into that. This is Janeri My Hell. Now, Zahid has already said that this is fire, so I've got high expectations. Cool vocal. It's not really sitting in sync with this. I would double check that because right now it feels like it's slightly offbeat. I think it just needs shifting along a little bit. More reverb, I think, in the vocal as well is needed. See how it just sounds like it's not in the right BPM? I'll double check the BPM first. Maybe it is in the wrong BPM. And then you can shift it along a little bit. I think it might just be a little bit off. This is cool. Screeches and everything are really, really high level. Cool screech again. So in here, I like the hardstyle bass you've used. I think you need a crispy, like a gritty layer in there as well. Check Headhunter's tracks. He always uses like that gritty layer on top of the sub. Just makes it sound so crispy and like so high level as well. I think that's what you need in that part. But the melody's pretty cool. Because you can also use that in the drop as well. The kick and bass is nice. Nice. The kick kind of gets lost there, I think, underneath the synth, so double check that. Also double check the waveform as well. I assume this isn't mastered, but there might be a problem with the low end and drop one. I think the sub could be a little bit warmer maybe. And you could use the top kick from drop 2 also in drop 1 because it's also nice and like snappy and punchy. So you could also just take what you've done and take the parts that are good over and make drop 1 match drop 2. Kind of the opposite of what we had in the last demo. Let's look at the man himself. This is Zahid's track with Run to You. A lot louder.
I still wanna run to you. Am I breaking through? Do you feel me too?
Okay. Okay, kind of confusing song again. I think with the way the vocal is used, it just doesn't fit this vibe. I hear a lot of that. People think, oh my god, to get on a label, it needs to have a vocal in. If the vocal makes sense, then it can help, right? But if it doesn't make sense, like this doesn't fit with this vibe. Like that future rave sound doesn't fit either, because all the future rave sound is doing is just making your vocal sound muddier. I thought the vocal had a lot of distortion, but it's just that future rave sound in there. I would take that out. Maybe filter the pianos as well, so it doesn't start so abrupt out of nowhere. The vocal I'm not a massive fan of. I don't know if they're original vocals.
Do you feel me too?
Like this sounds like, I don't know, house maybe? Then it's a hard house drop. I like the kick and bass. It works really nice. The synth is just not as good as the kick and bass. That first I'll be looking in Nexus EDM 7. There's some really good bass shots, future rave inspired stuff. Like this part, we need a sub bass in there. It feels way too empty. Increase the reverb and also use the same sound from the drop, like a Nexus sound that we talked about just now. Use that in the break as well, because what we need is all the sounds to be of high quality. If you use one or two really bad samples or presets, it can bring the whole vibe of your track down to like from good to really average, right? So make sure you're using good sounds. I'm not expecting you to go and make your own sounds from scratch. But for example, Nexus has some really, really cool next level sounds, which you don't need to process too much. That's a cool sound. Need more reverb on it though. If you listen to guys like Axmo, Steve W, Kevu, you know, the reverb's a lot bigger. So just use reference tracks with this one. I can see where you're going with it. I just think the vocal doesn't really match, right? And it's important to have a vocal that matches. But great work. Your mix is decent, you know. Look at the waveform, it's looking good, so keep at it, Zahid. Thanks for sending that one, brother. Finally, last but not least, this is Avia with Afterlife. I recognize this signature sounds melody. I like it, man. Tight mix down. Okay, very interesting one. I think this first drop's cool. This melody, yeah, it's a signature sounds MIDI. If you want sick MIDIs that you can just drag straight in, you know where to join. I love the way you use this, man. Synth's pretty cool. As we said about creating some tension in the pre-drop, this is how you do it. Then straight in. This kick is great. It sounds like you made it yourself in kick 2. It's got that like nice like pitch on it. It's so much better than drop 2. You need to use the same kick again. This is the third time I've said it. Use the same kick from drop 1 in drop 2. Drop 2 has just a worse kick, right? This sounds like a really professional drop. This sounds pretty like from, you know, anybody could make that kind of thing. So just take the kick and it's gonna sound great. I don't think you need to change the melody in drop 2. I think this is so catchy, but again, I'm gonna be biased here, but I think that works, man. You can just use it again. I don't think you need to do a completely new melody. If you play this live, you want the crowd to sing the melody, but they're like, oh, this is a completely new one. Now we got to learn this one. By the time they learn it, the drop's done. But the acid 303 is cool in there, so maybe just use the kick from this in here, and it will make a massive difference. I would, if it was my track, I would do that, and I'd also take the drop lead from drop 1 over here. And the only difference between drop 2 and drop 1 is you'll have that acid in there as well. And then I think it's a winner, man. It's cool, man. I would have a trance pluck in here, which you can open up the cut off. I think that will also just make it sound really fresh, because you've got like very big room influence, but with that you could really make it sound trancey as well, which, you know, people love when there's lots of genres used because it sounds like something completely new. So in conclusion, really solid one. By no means the least was last. I'm really impressed with that one, if that made any sense. Thank you so much for watching, boys. This has been absolutely amazing. I'm super inspired by everyone's tracks. Nice to see people maybe making different stuff to what they were making in the last demo drop. If you want to be a part of future demo drops, which I need to do more often, you need to be a member of the best Patreon community in EDM. So check the description, because there will be a link to join. As always, thank you boys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.